Hello, everybody, and welcome to Mirrorless Monday here on the Eat Sleep List YouTube channel. My name is Matt Johnson, your host, and today I want to talk with you about ego, managing our ego, and finding a way to navigate through ego to live a better and balanced life. Let's make a list. All right, dating back from the beginning of this show, way back, I think at the end of January or beginning of February, especially the Mirrorless Monday videos, there has been an underlying theme of ego. Whether we talked about it or not, ego has played a part in just about every list that we have done, especially the Mirrorless Monday videos. And let's think. Let's look back at the last few that we've done. All right, balance. All right. Too much of an ego can lead you to unbalance, all right? Leaning too far one way and falling off the proverbial balance beam, okay? We've talked about growth, all right? If you have too much of an ego, you may never grow. You may never realize that there's some issues and you have to grow and change. Not my problem, all right? Not my problem. There's a bit of an ego with thinking that things are your problem when they're really not. I think it can come off quite egotistical. It's hard. I mean, this is gonna be some tough stuff. I really hope I come off good with this. And like accountability, not having being too prideful, too egotistical, to realize that again you are the problem and you need to take accountability for some of your actions. It's not everybody else's fault. And not even, those are just some of the recent ones that we've done. Dating back to the very first one, which is the personal accomplishment list. You know, there's ego played a part in that. It has been an underlying theme throughout this entire show. But something that we've never dealt with full on. In fact, I think the most ego I've talked about up to this point was my number one selection for my balance list, which was balancing my ego out, figuring a way to find balance with it. And I did say that we were going to be talking about it more in depth this week, so that's what I plan on doing. Ego has been wonderful to me. All right, it has been there for me in times of need. It has given me a lot of great memories in life. It has been my best friend at certain points in time. But it's also been my worst enemy, leading me to some of my lowest of lows. All right, being too prideful and overconfident and seeing people who I've rubbed the wrong way because my ego was so massive that they couldn't wait for me to fall. There's a lot of pros and cons to it, and that's why I like to talk about the balance aspect of it, because it is important to have a bit of an ego, just a little bit. You can't go overboard. All right, a good ego, a good healthy ego, confidence. All right. Good ego gives you confidence to go and do things, do and try things, have life experiences, talk to people, take chances, all that sort of thing. A good, healthy ego gives you identity. All right? It gives you an identity, okay? Ego shows people exactly who you are, what you stand for, what you are all about. That's an important character trait. Resilience. All right, resilience. If you have a strong ego, you can be resilient to challenges, essentially, figuratively, bulletproof in a sense that when you have a setback, you just keep on trucking forward, and that is a positive about ego. People with a little bit of an ego have no problem finding motivation to go and do things. All right, go and try new things. It isn't a long process to say, hey, I need to start losing weight. It's a split decision. Let's go do this thing. Or I need to change my life financially or whatever means. Having an ego leads to that. And leadership, which is a very important character trait and quality. Having ego to lead, to make tough decisions, to lead people into doing your duty. Those are some pros. Of course, with ego, there can always be cons too. All right. And we've seen people with massive egos. All right. Seen people with big heads, and just the way that they talk, everything that they exude it. You can just feel it. within them, how egotistical they are. But arrogance, all right? Nobody likes somebody arrogant. It's funny every once in a while, but an overly arrogant person, you want to see their downfall, essentially. Closed-mindedness, all right? It's not a great way for growth. If you are closed-minded, you will be the same, all right? I've talked about this with the growth list. If you are the same person you were a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10, 20, then you are doing life wrong and you are overly arrogant. You have a big ego. People with too strong of an ego are super defensive, can't take jokes, very overconfident, stubborn, love conflict. They love to just back and forth, very combative with people. It's hard to get along with people with a massive ego. And I notice a lot of people with too big of an ego, they get a bit of envy and jealousy when somebody else is doing better than them. All right, they cannot stand to see it. Their ego just will not allow it, and they have to go and one-up said person or take what's there, take what somebody else earned and try to make it theirs. All right, there's a lot of different elements to this, but ego is it gets a fight. It is a literal fight to balance this thing out. Never get too high where you do develop some of these cons, but never getting too low where you miss out on the good parts of life. This is essentially the balance list 2.0. But socially, it's been my biggest struggle, finding that balance between ego. And hopefully, by the end of this video, you kind of get a grasp of it. You kind of become a little bit more aware of how your ego is, how you present yourself, how your ego affects who you are and what you look like to the people around you. All right, so let's carry on. Let's get to lessons from the list. Dealing with my ego over the last couple of years specifically, it has been a system of checks and balances. All right, every single day, I am fighting a battle on the inside that nobody knows about because I'm deciding, and it sounds exhausting, but I'm deciding when not to let my ego show, okay? When to let it come out and when not to, when to just, and that internal struggle has led me to be in touch with myself, so to speak. It's weird to say that out loud, but I listen to body cues to know things. So for example, if somebody says something disrespectful towards me, or sometimes these comment sections are a little rough and say something that could rile me up, the egotistical part of me is to fight back, to yell, all right, just to be as angry as possible. And there is nothing worse than looking like you're angry, all right? Even though your ego is screaming at you, yell, tell this person to F this and all sorts of stuff, all right? Even though your ego is telling you to do so, checking it is listening, realizing that your heart rate is starting to go up a little bit, all right? Feel yourself becoming warmer, maybe even sweating a little bit. Take a deep breath, exhale, and walk away. Give yourself time before you decide to respond to whatever's coming your way. Because, and this is, I think, a big problem with society now, is that we're all ready to fight each other. But if we all just right, just chill out, checked our own ego, we could fan out a lot of flames, right? We can smother a lot of flames before they become something even bigger. And by flames, I mean just heated arguments and stuff. All right, but I know when certain things are being unbalanced. I can feel it when I've overeaten too much. I feel it in my body, and it's not just that full feeling. There's a certain feeling in my face, that I know, okay, I screwed up today. I don't want to feel that tomorrow. I just know. And it's hard to describe, but this is something that, as I've been working on this, again, no matter how exhausting it sounds, I have benefited from, is that I'm just in touch with my body, with what makes me tick, when I need to pull back. And I think it's a difficult thing for a lot of people. A lot of us just kind of exist. A lot of us just go through and act upon every single emotion that we have. Everything. And these emotions are essentially, these emotions are our ego, our ego telling us how to react. And it's led to a lot of bad moments. That's for sure. You never want to get too high, of course, but you also never want to get too low either. You really have to find that happy medium that works best for you. All right? Because again, we talked about being too high and mighty. All right? Having your ego way, way up here and the dangers it could lead towards. All right? Self-destruction is essentially what a big, massive ego can lead to. But also, you don't want to get yourself too low either. All right, having zero confidence is I guess that's pretty self-destructive too. Zero self-confidence, zero just identity, ambition, motivation. You're just kind of going through the humdrum of life. That's not great either. All right, a nice, humble, healthy ego is the way to go. And especially, again, if you know how to maneuver yourself, if you know how to maneuver your mentality and your ego, when the time arises, it's going to do wonders for you. It's going to do wonders for you. You are going to have a much more productive life when you know when to show some pride, show some, just ego, I guess. Just show some rah-rah, all right? And be happy for the things that you've done or you plan to do, all right? Tell yourself you're going to do something. Show that. Show that off. But also, again, there's a time and a place. You ever hear somebody make a ill-timed joke and somebody says time and place, wrong time, wrong place for that? That was the ego telling somebody to make the worst time joke of all time. So you got to figure it out. You got to learn it for yourself. Feel it out, and life will go by much, much smoother for you. I promise. All right, everybody. My favorite part of every single video that we do, it is time for the top 10 list. Of course, feel free to comment along your thoughts, if you have a couple picks here for your worst ego habits, which is what I'm about to make a top 10 list about. Feel free to share them. If you want to email them a little bit more privately, eatsleeplistpod@gmail.com. That is always posted in the description. And, of course, if you don't want to share any of these things, I hope that these videos or this list is just stirring something inside of you. It's getting you to think and maybe be a little bit more aware of who you are and maybe better yourself. All right, I'm supporting you. This is partly my journey. All right, when I think about something, that's when we discuss it. That's when I write about it. That's when we post a video about it. But I am hoping that you are following along in this as well. It's not just my journey, it's your journey. Even if you watch one video, if you watch a couple of them, if you watch all of them, this is all about making us all better and more self-aware if we so choose to be. All right, let's get to it. My top 10 worst ego habits of my life. Let's start with my number 10, making friends. Making friends. I have long complained. I don't know if I've touched too much on it this show. Maybe just the qualities of a friend list. But my lifetime struggle of friendship, making friends, maintaining friends. It's hard. It feels like a lot of work. All right. I've shown too much ego when it comes to making friends and too little let's start off with the too much aspect of it. Too much ego has prevented me from making friendships with genuine, why did I say it like that? Genuine, good people. All right? People that could have helped my life out a little bit more, right? That whole iron sharpens iron thing. Too prideful in some instances, and I've struggled. I've pushed away, do I call them advances? Friendship advances? I don't know. Friendship opportunities, so to speak, because I've been too prideful. All right? And there were some great casualties, great people that were casualties when it comes to making friends. But on the flip side, I've also shown too little ego in some other instances. And the people that I have let into my circle at different points in time, certainly not currently, but at various other points in time, were the wrong people at the necessary time, or the wrong people at the wrong time. And they ended up becoming lessons down the road. So friends, you got to find that you really got to screen a little bit better. At least, again, this is more so my reflection here. But choosing my friends a lot more wiser. All right. I think right now, in this point in time, I have mastered the fringe friend role to perfection. And while I do have best friends, I love being, I'm like on the outskirts, but in just the right way. It's very hard to explain, but I've mastered the art of being the fringe friend. Am I there always? No, I can't be. I have a child to raise, and I have other obligations to take care of. But when you need me, I will be there. Chef's kiss, mastered it. But again, too much of it has led me to derail relationships, friendships before they even started, some potentially really good ones. And too little has allowed me to have too big of a friend circle, or have the worst possible people in my friend circle at various points in time. So that's my number 10, is making friends. Number 9, acknowledging people who are different than me. All right, and this can stem from a lot of different angles. All right, I will admit there were some points when I was younger that was a lot more ignorant to things that are a lot more accepted now. All right, and that was ego. That was too much ego. And I was wrong. I was certainly wrong in the way I dealt with it. And I'm glad that I can openly admit it. All right, I'm not going to bow and do that sort of thing, but I openly admit that I've made mistakes in my lifetime when it comes to acknowledging folks who are different than me, or think different than me, or operate differently than me. All right, I have no problem with that. I've overcome that. There was too much ego in that, but there's that element of it, and there's also like people who don't like work as hard. Like I'm a grinder. I love to grind. I love to work hard at stuff I do. When I was in wrestling, all right, when I was in high school wrestling, I wanted to be the best. So I surrounded myself with the best. And that left little time for some of the up and coming people who maybe could have used a push in some cases. There's that. Pro wrestling, I'm going to deal with that in a little bit too, but like I grinded and I wanted to be really, really good. So people that were kind of like just doing it as a hobby, I had little time for, or little effort for. Podcasting, I've done my part in trying to help out everybody, but there's only so much I can do. And I kind of just previewed a couple ones that I'm going to select, that I'm going to talk about a little bit more in depth, but just like if people think differently than me, or act differently than me, or act differently than I do, or have just a worse work ethic, like it's hard for me to just kind of like work with you. And that's been that balancing act, right? There's times where I really have to remember where I came from and be who I needed back when I first started things, back when I first started in high school wrestling. All right, that was something I had to realize. Back when I was doing pro wrestling, even though I wasn't good or would never claim to be a grizzled veteran, I had to remember that there was a point in time where I was brand new and I wanted to associate with people who seem to get it better than I do. Podcasting, all that stuff. Too much ego, too much pride. And yeah, so that's my number 9, is just acknowledging people over a variety of different themes, all right, different levels, acknowledging them that who are different than me. So that's my number 9. All right, my number 8. We're moving right along. We're gonna deal with my podcasting story. Okay, my podcasting life story, and it's a little bit of too much, and a little bit of not enough ego. All right, too low, too little ego. All right, the too much aspect was me before. I think I have a little bit of the too littles right now, but the too much aspect was the grinding aspect, which I already mentioned. But once I settled into a routine, I hated changing it. I really didn't like to change it much. My ego prevented me from doing video content when I was doing all of my shows way back when. All right, we don't need video. We don't need that. We're too good for that. We're just audio podcast only. And I can almost guarantee it, again, sounding egotistical, that if I had switched over to a little bit more heavier video presence, that maybe I would still be doing some of those other ones. All right, or maybe something better would have come from it. Maybe a sponsorship that I had always been seeking and hoping that my time and effort would have been justified. Ego prevented me from growing in podcasting. It did. But now I'm at the point where there's not enough ego. Yeah, I'm still doing stuff. I'm still trying stuff. I'm making posts every day, shorts, interactive content. But I could always be doing more. I talked about on the accountability list, I think, that I should be putting my face out there a little bit more. And like for shorts content and stuff. And now I just Now I'm but in the wrong direction. You know what I mean? I'm afraid to be good. I'm afraid to really kind of make the most of this, if that makes sense. I will say, though, cheap plug, this Wednesday, we're going to start doing live video game streams around 4:45-ish p.m. Eastern time. So putting my face out there a little bit more, so to speak. But yeah, the too much, the too little. I'm always battling, but now I'm starting to turn the corner. I'm starting to pick it up a little bit. Now I want to put my face out there. Let's play video games and chat together. That event I did a couple weeks ago, the Emergathon, gave me a whole new level of confidence that I can do live stuff, and I'm very, very excited to start doing this video game stream with and chat with everybody who's part of it. So step in the right direction, but ego has definitely harmed me in the podcasting department. Wrestling in high school. That's my number 7. Too much, too little. All right. The wrestling gave me such a massive ego. I was never good at anything in life. I really wasn't. I won nothing. There was one time I won something cool. And it was a cousin's giveaway. My Mima was giving away a Buffalo Bills giant Coke bottle bank but it was filled with popcorn. And I remember being so happy. I screamed I might have been crying a little bit, but I was so happy that I finally won something in life. And that was maybe 9 years old then. All right. Didn't win a whole lot after that. all the sports, all the things that I did not win anything. So when I started winning, when I tasted victory in wrestling, blew up. I actually remember it's a funny memory, but one of my sister's now best friends back in high school, we were talking at a lunch table. I think it was after school because I got out a little bit earlier and I was waiting for wrestling practice. And she asked me, she goes, "Hey, so who are the best wrestlers on the team?" And casually I was just like, "Oh yeah, me." Maybe some other people, and she called me out right out of it. She goes, "You're really cocky and arrogant." And I was taken aback. I couldn't believe it, but she was right. At the time, I didn't really realize it. My ego had gotten massive, but yeah. So there was the too much aspect, and then the too little part of it. The too little part of it was that I went into tournaments with little to no confidence. Whatever happens, happens. I talked about it. I go to the state tournament. If I win, great. Probably won't, but whatever. And that was not just the state tournament, but that was most of my career. I was happy taking a 6th, 5th, 4th, 3rd place trophy anywhere. I just wanted hardware, right? Not enough ego. All right, not enough. Just do whatever. Got to have a little ego. And then I started to really put it together my senior year. So, yeah, wrestling in high school. It's my number 7 with weird ego habits. Number 6 is listening to other people's expectations of me. We've talked about this a lot over the last couple of weeks. That was a too little, ego. And not just expectations, but it's just pulling me in all sorts of different directions. This has been a struggle all my life. I'm bad. I'm aware of it now. I'm pushing back, especially over the last couple of years, but it is still very difficult because I just want peace. I literally crave peace 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So there are some times where I get pulled around and pushed in different directions that I don't necessarily like, but I just go along with it. But I am starting to push back a little bit more now. Because I realize that, after a certain point, nobody has better intentions for myself than I do. And that has been a fight. You should do this. You should do that. I don't know anymore. I don't know if I believe you. It's that sort of thing. Like, it's great when you're younger. All right, and people are trying to point you in some sort of direction. But after a while, once you're in your 20s, even late teens, like, it's your life. Be a grown man, grown woman, and take ownership. Have a little ego and push back on that. Of course, play along a little bit, but as far as people telling you what you should be or what you should want to be or what you want to do or how you want to live your life, too little ego is a bad thing. So that's the bottom half. We're going to the top half. Dating. There's been too much and too little ego in my life. And obviously I'm a married man now. But looking back, when I was desperate for girlfriends, I used to complain, and nobody wants to date me back in middle school and high school. There was too much ego, actually. I was so stuck up, egotistical, thought I was hot shit. All right? I don't know why I thought this. I was too good for people, I guess. But, there was... I could have gained valuable experience that would have helped me down the road. All right, instead of stumbling into very, very difficult lessons and heartbreaks later on in life, if I would have just dated around, all right? You're not dating to get married in middle school and high school, usually not, but date around, all right? Realize it's okay to break up and like it's not the end of the world, like it's a normal thing. I'm amazed by people who break up with somebody that they spent years with and they just eat it like a Tic Tac, like it's nothing for them. right? So there was too much when it came to dating. There was people I would not give a chance. There was always something that I'd pick apart, like, I don't like this, I don't like that. And I wouldn't date. And it led to a lot of very tough, harsh lessons down the road. And, there was also, there really wasn't little ego in that. I don't know. Maybe the little ego part is for people who I was in a relationship with that tried to change me, didn't let me be me in a sense. Maybe it's kind of a reach, but I'm gonna definitely dating as a deserving one here, because how are you gonna complain? And you, meaning me, 16, 17, 18-year-old me, how are you gonna complain that you can't get girls when girls are coming up to you but they're just not good enough and you've never dated before? I would stuff myself in a locker if I could. I would stuff younger me into a locker. I promise you that. All right, number 4. We're going to talk schooling now. All right, my education. Elementary school, great. Well, for the most part. Aside from that second grade year where I got I didn't do so good in one class, and my dad prevented me from playing video games for the entire summer. Awful. Middle school, high school, and college. I was like, I don't know what it was. I got too cocky, arrogant about schoolwork, and my grades were not very good. Middle school was it was definitely the start of it. I struggled hard, but the thing is, even high school was a lot better. I did go to summer school for math in 11th grade. But for the most part, it was pretty good. But here's the thing, I never studied. I never really studied. I just did stuff and took tests, and I still, passed, C pluses, some Bs, get an A once in a while, usually history, social studies class. That was my forte. But, I didn't do anything. I didn't work towards it. I just went through the motions. Too much ego, too prideful to study and maybe make a difference. All right, make better. And of course, college, now that I'm still paying for a college degree that I've never gotten to touch, that I never earned, none of that. Again, all the bad habits from middle school and high school carried over. And I didn't show... too arrogant. I thought, hey, I'll just float on through. All right, I got this. I did this before in grade school, and I got this. And then usually I didn't. So that's my number 4 is my schooling. Number 3 is social media. Good Lord, we are talking about social media again. My number 3, dealing with social media, just relentless. It nonstop. It's too much. I've been too much on social media. I'm not going to elaborate too much on it, but I overbearing, to say the least. Annoying, posting too much, all that stuff. It led to people having an idea of me that wasn't accurate, at least that I didn't think was accurate, and I was way too comfortable disrespecting people on social media too. I think that's a part that I try to forget about. But I would pick fights with people, all right, over the internet. I would argue sports. I would argue with people who I just did not like. And I'm like, and at some point I was like, what am I doing here? Why? Who gives it? Who cares? Who cares what this somebody from another country thinks about this or that? It was ridiculous. I used to, when the Colts started their epic fall off in 2021, after Carson Wentz stunk the joint up, I was getting into so many arguments with fellow Colts fans who just can see no wrong with this team. And even now, I'll look through these comments because there's a big, for those who don't know, the Colts, there's this thing between Daniel Jones and Anthony Richardson, and everyone's just still glazing Anthony Richardson like he's the chosen one, and he's not. He's garbage. He's garbage. I hate watching him play football. It's so bad. But a younger me would argue with these people all day long, go through every single comment, and I had to find my balance. I just read it, I go and move on. I scroll on, I move on with my day. So, social media, terrible. I don't even know what to describe it. It just disgusting cesspool of ego on there for no reason. My number 2 was pro wrestling. My ego in pro wrestling. It's a little bit of too much. It's actually mostly too much, but a little bit of too little as well. When I started getting a little bit of notoriety in 2012, massive ego blow up, and I became overbearing. All right, I became there's people that have been doing this for a long time that were starting to become a little standoffish with me and try to check me, and I didn't realize it at the time. But it sucked. It sucks looking back that I wish I was a little bit more mature dealing with my pro wrestling time. And I did nothing, right? Like I was very fortunate where a great man by the name of Brody Lee, John Huber, picked me to wrestle me, gave me an opportunity at this wonderful promotion in Syracuse, New York. And he put me over, and it was great. And looking back, I didn't deserve it, but I'm forever grateful that he did, even though it went nowhere. But, oh my God. I got egotistical about something that is basically just a physical form of acting. Some call it a sport, and I will let them, that's fine. It's your interpretation of it. I know I felt like it was a sport back then, but it just, I don't know, I just rubbed everybody the wrong way. And then within a couple years, I basically pissed off everybody. I just started no-showing shows, and because my ego got blown up so much that when it was time for it to deflate, it came crashing down, and it was bad. Yeah, my ego in pro wrestling was awful. I say it every time. I know that if I attacked it again, if I lost weight and went about it again, I'd like to think that I would handle it a lot better than 22-year-old Matthew did. In fact, I know I would. So my ego in pro wrestling, it was a lot. And the too little part too, I guess I should add that in. Too little, I don't know, defending yourself, right? Standing up for yourself. I would definitely say that. There was a lot of vets that shouldn't have been telling anybody what to do. That would just walk all over you and tell you where to go, where to work, and what they're gonna do, and this and that. I had no. I was just like, whatever. I just show up and whatever happens, happens, and that was a detriment too. So, all right, my number 1. It's taking people for granted. Too much ego. There are few things harder than life when somebody that you have great memories with just decides to just walk away. All right, just decides I can't deal with you anymore. It's hard. I think back, I look back to some of my friendships over the years, and even some of the dating relationships that I had. And I took their presence for granted, their willingness to want to be around me for granted. I was just thinking about this the other day, and I used to hang out with a kid named Jeff way back when. And I used to go over his house all the time. He lived kind of in the neighborhood. He was one of the few kids in the neighborhood that I really got along with, but he had an N64. He had a lot of cool stuff. We used to go over there, play Pokemon all the time, hang out, ride bikes, and then something happened. I think I stole a piece of his gum at a dance recital, and he got mad at me. And then he wasn't really stealing. Maybe it was. And then I stopped liking Pokemon for a while, and this kid, to me, was like the very definition of liking Pokemon. So a bunch of things happened, and like suddenly this kid who was my best friend and the only one in the neighborhood who would willingly like hang out with me, I was too good for. You like Pokemon? Nah, he used to come over, ride his bike to my house all the time, and knock and say, hey, you want to hang out? And I'd say no all the time. And luckily he was, years down the road, he was a little bit kinder to me than I deserved. But here was somebody who wanted to spend time with me, and I took them for granted. And this is applied to a lot of things. Like, I'll be honest, like even my cousins who were my best friends at one point in life, and we were inseparable. And there was incidents, I know I'm not the only one guilty, and there were times where they wanted to spend time with me, or we were doing something, and I was just such an ass that I pushed them away, get too jokey, and they didn't want to spend time with me. And now, I think there's some pretty healthy boundaries, I guess. Like, I don't get included in stuff, and it is what it is. It's kind of my fault that led us to this, but make people feel special when they're around. Make people feel wanted when they're around. That's something that I've had to work on a lot. There's been dozens upon dozens upon dozens of people, great people that I've interacted with over the years that were great to me, better than I deserved, and I took them for granted. And it's haunted me for a long time, and I still struggle with this. I never know when too much. Like, I try to tell my friends that I love them all the time. I try to tell everybody that I love them all the time, and to make them feel special. But I know that there's some times where, even though I'm doing what I feel like all that I can in the moment, that I'm not doing enough, and it's a struggle. So taking people for granted, that probably is my worst ego habit of all time, because looking back, I have been, and I hate using this term, but I've been blessed with so many great people in my life. I have met so many wonderful human beings who have all taught me something in one way, shape, or form, showed me love, made me feel special at one point or another, and then taking them for granted. One day they're there, and then the next they're gone. So that is it. That is the ego habits list, and that is the conclusion of this video. As I did kind of mention in there, this Wednesday on our YouTube channel, 4:45 p.m. Eastern Time, I'm going to do a thing called Eat Game List. It'll be a live stream, and I'm just going to be playing video games. I don't know what I'm going to play yet. I have a couple different systems that I can connect for a live stream, but the plan is play some games, draw out some random topics, make top 5 lists, and have you, if you're watching, comment along with me. All right, so I can live chat with you. It's not serious gameplay stuff. It's going to be me just literally playing old games, not to be great, not to be good, just playing games and talking. So I'm hoping this is a new avenue that the page can explore and thrive with. So, but there it is, everybody. Got a great one this Friday. Very, very excited. Talking NFL jerseys, because, of course, the season opener is this Thursday. So wake up with us Friday morning, and or whenever the heck you decide to watch it. And we're going to talk the NFL jersey list. We'll see you then. Till next time, do you even list?